Well, you got me. All right, here we are. You got. Oops, sorry, camera. Sorry. Today we are soldering, or desoldering rather, and resoldering using. Oh dear. Oh gosh. Gadzooks. So, what are we doing? These are my Hacko tweezers. What are they? FX 8804s. They are ESD safe, electrostatic discharge safe. Not if that really matters for what I do, but I guess you can never have enough electrostatic protection. Now, one thing I always seem to forget is to go wet my sponge, so I will be back in a moment. Moist. Now, as a lot of you know, I've been working on improving some things that I've screwed up in the past. These hard drives, for example, these are 30 meg hard drives from, I wonder what year they're from. We'll have a look. We'll have a look right now. Well, the olden days, I guess. Oh look, HE, is that hardware error? Don't do that, Hacko. There we go. Alright, so we'll also be using the tweezers, which is something I haven't actually used yet. So if I'm going to break something, it's going to be this. Anyway, what we're doing here, let's get a bit of a zoom in. We're using the lesser lens today, so I don't have as much zoom. But that doesn't mean it can't be just as exciting. So on the back here, we've got some radial capacitors I've put on, regrettably. And we're going to be replacing them with some beautiful, brand new from Element 14, SMD caps. Now you're probably thinking, Shane, you hate SMD caps. You're entirely right. I do, and maybe it's a lack of understanding. Maybe that's all it is. But you know what? Maybe this is just what they're destined to have. So we've got 100 microfarad. I need to actually write down what belongs where. So here's my little list. Let's get that in the frame. Here's my list. Pen. So the first capacitor is, or has the value going in the other direction. It's a C6 though. C6, C10 and C11. So I've got two of these to do. So if you think the excitement has only just started, you're right. So what do we got? First one is a 16 volt 47 UF. It's always good to have these values written down, I think. Next one's a 10 volt 100 UF and another 47 UF. 16 volt and 100 UF at 10 volts. Now I suppose because it's wow, we're out of focus. I suppose because it is a, well, 5 volt circuit on the hard drive, it's not too concerned about capacitors being, 16 volt or whatever. It's very unlikely that sort of voltage would ever get through. That said, the higher the voltage, the longer the capacitor is probably rated to last because it's running below spec. Of course, you don't want to mess it up too much by using 35 volt. What have I got those for? Oh yeah, they're for this. Okay. I also had the floppy drives on here. So I need one of the 100 UFs. These are these guys. I'm getting very good at reading capacitor values for Panasonic's range of SMD caps these days. So there's our little 100. Just one. But I've got 10 though. I don't need 10, but they were kind enough to only sell them in things at 10. I'm actually surprised that they give you anything, given how, 5 capacitors here, 5 capacitors there, 3 capacitors here. If I were them, I'd just be annoyed. 47 UF. So the hard drives require 6. So it's 2 each. I've got 3. Oh wait, here's a bunch. VFPs, beautiful. So V is 35 volt. They used to just put the damn voltage on, but now they've also got the, you're not going to be able to see that, but, so it says 47 and then VFP. FP is the range, so it's the FP brand of Panasonic's. The V is the voltage, which V is 35. C is, what's C? Well, C would be 10 or 16, I suppose. And that's, you know, those are the two main ones I've got here. I don't think I have any 25s. It's another V. Some 10 microfarad. That must be for the floppy drive. And they are. So we'll also be doing the floppy drives in another video. But for this one, let's go ahead and just get the old soldering iron out. And get these filthy old capacitors out of here. Because no one wants to see that. And no one will be able to see that if it stays that out of focus. Okay, so all we're doing is heating both sides of the pad, removing it, and you know what, we'll probably want to use a bit of desolder braid. So just very careful not to lift any pads. I did this in such a way that they look like little people, these things. They've got little legs, they're a barrel. You can put faces on them, that'd be pretty cool. That one's dead. Yeah, I'll use some desolder braid to get that solder off there. So that's a lesson for you. If anything, don't listen to my other videos. Hot, 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 hot. Ha ha ha. Get out of there. Get out of there. 2 down, 1 to go. Nice and hot, hot burning. Ha! Get out of there. Beautiful. Ah, really quite hot. That's fine. It's not a problem. We've worked with hotter. Desolder braid up here. Let me guess, it's already on the desk? No. Ah. Alright, so let's get the solder off these pads. Pretty easy. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Off comes the solder. Beautiful, nice clean pad. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Off comes the solder. Nice clean pad. Ad nauseum. It's actually quite satisfying to do. It smells nice too. It smells like death. Sweet release. There we go. So now the pads are nice and free. So I'm at this point good to pretty much install, what were they? 47-100 in the middle. So the 100's a bit taller. So on these capacitors, it's got a black band. Let's see if we can just get a bit of video of this. Can you get that camera? Can you focus that close? Almost. Oh, it's pretty close. So, as you can see, there's the black band. So that's the negative side. So you want to make sure you put these in the right way. Unless you've got a bipolar or non-polar capacitor, which, for the life of me, I don't understand how they work. The Super Nintendos have a couple of those in. The one-chip models, anyway. So I'm going to go through and redo them. But I don't know why. Or how. How do they work? They're non-polar. Which just seems odd, given that capacitors store charge and they're not, I don't know, resistors? Yeah. Resistors don't store charge. They resist. Okay. So, I've never actually done this before with a surface mount thing. So, what I'm going to do is, I guess, is tack it down with just a little bit of solder. Work out how big these pads are. Move them across a little bit more, I can. There we go, that looks pretty good. No, don't you dare go in crooked. Okay, so, a bit of tack, which means I need a bit of solder. Using my beautiful leaded solder. Isn't it great? Actually, no, I want to use the other things. Where are the other things? The tweezers. Will that work for this? Is this the best time to use them? Or are they more a desoldering tool? Let's Control-Alt-Delete the hacko. Now, I've got this magnificent pad here, which is what you rest the tweezers on. I do have a little metal thing that you might have heard earlier in the video falling behind something, but I'm not going to use that because I have to take the other one out and it's just not worth it. I mean, look at the pad. The pad's magnificent. Just rest it and then nothing catches fire, in theory. Okay, get this one out of the way. Now tweezers, I have no idea what temperature these are meant to operate. They're good to up to 65 watt, which is plenty far away. Hey, geez, stop giving me HGs, you little bugger. How do I even get the solder on with this? I've got two sides. How do I feed this? I really need to have a look into this, but I guess trial and error is just as good as anything. So it looks like the tops of the tips are just doing some voodoo. Don't break my shit. Don't break my shit. Yeah, I'm just going to use the regular soldering knife because I don't know what I'm doing. Plus, a lot of people probably don't have access to the tweezers. Yeah, that's a good reason. Not my lack of training or even trying before this video. That said, when I come to the Super Nintendo, I'll definitely be using that. Probably. Okay, so we want... Well, really, the best way to do this, if you don't have a pair of tweezers like I do, which cost me a ton of money, and I'm starting to have regrets about buying, but it's fine. We'll think of them as a desoldering tool. Desoldering. Perhaps. Gosh, that PlayStation's noisy. There's some burn-in tests over there. We've got some SCPH9002s. Probably sell them in a couple of weeks. Pop a fresh mod chip in them. Might get that on video too. The last 9002 I did was a bit of a disaster. Someone's been using it for a while now, so that's all good. So really, all you need to do, let's go with the end one. So positives are all on the left on this, so I should have all the black lines in the other direction. You just add a bit of solder to the pads, one of the pads, not both. Gosh, it feels good to be fixing my mistakes. I'll start with this little guy, 47. And we want to get him somewhere in the middle. Really, I should have taken the circuit board off, so this would be a lot easier without that hard drive there. And then you just sort of push down, make sure you've got both ends on the pad. Just heat the solder. And it will become one. And it does. Give it a second to cool. You don't want to heat them up too much because then they'll die prematurely, which would be very bad for whoever gets this hard drive. I mean, it might be one that I keep. Actually, come to think of it, I've got 3 of these hard drives. I've got the one that's actually in the TeraDrive. So you just do the same thing, nice and gentle, there we go. Actually nice and flat. Okay, the first one's not nice and flat. Oh wait, yes it is. Ah, technology. Isn't it magnificent? I do apologise for the low light, but it is 6 PM, 7 PM, 6 PM on a, what is it, a Thursday? Always enjoyed Thursdays. Ha. So once you've got those secured, find your solder, or solder if you're in the US, and then just, it's quite simple. I'm completely blocking everything with my hand, aren't I? Feed in some solder from this other side. So heat the pad, feed in the solder. And what that'll do is it'll suck a bit of the solder underneath the capacitor, along the pad, joining the leg. Now usually after doing this I also do it on the other side of the capacitor, just to be, you know, just to be the best that I can. Not that I've done surface mount capacitors too often. And again, make sure you give it some time to cool. Unlike what I just did then. Move along to the next one. That one's good. And the last one over here. A bit more solder on here. There we go. Looking good. Youch, they're hot. So once you've done that, just go over, check your other sides, probably feed in a little bit of solder, just so it can start up this end on the coolest one. I can honestly not tell if that last one there is attached. In fact, I have a strange feeling it isn't. So a bit too much space on this side. Oh no, it's attached. Okay. You attached to the pad? Oh, there's a bit of the pad. Yeah, it's just a lot of flux from where I would have been originally. You know what they say about flux? It's good. I don't know what they say about flux. Do they even say anything about flux? Certainly wouldn't have a clue. Heck, most of this is just guesswork. Trial and error. My two favourite things in the world. Whoops. There we go. So how do you get rid of flux? You need a bit of isopropyl or something. Or just a bit of persistence. Oh, there it is. Oh, I should be able to get solder onto there. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. And now you look at it and you think, Geez, that's out of focus. Bleh. Come on, camera. You know how much I paid for this lens? Well, actually, it came with the camera, so... There we go. Super focus. Obviously doesn't like low light and black objects. Beautiful. So the capacitors are now all installed. Now I need to test it, make sure it works, which I can do when I... Well, actually, come to think of it, the Model 3 is the one that's broken. So... yeah, that's something to look forward to. Once I get that up and running. So we've still got capacitors on order. Well, actually, most of the capacitors are here. Well, actually, all the capacitors are here. I'm waiting on some of the ICs and transistors to arrive. I've got one of the three from the same company, a little diode off eBay. They managed to send me one of the three items, even though I ordered them all at the same time. So I don't know if they're out of stock of the other ones and they're digging around their warehouse trying to find them, or if the postal system is just terrible. But why they didn't combine the shipping, I don't know. I had my hopes up and nothing came today either, so just have to keep waiting. Anyway, on to the next drive. Stay tuned. More drive soldering coming up.